Is the lack of state income tax in Texas too good to be true? What about property taxes? We're going to break down the math, give you some live examples so that you can buy with confidence. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to Allegiance Title, company who's providing this resource for us today, and also point out to you the effective date, October 1st, 2025. And if you're seeing this video after the fourth quarter of 2026, you can reach out to us and get an update on this resource. Now, it is true that Texas does not have state income tax. However, we still have to pay for essential services like the police department, the fire department, schools. And the way that we do that is through property taxes, real estate property taxes specifically. And so before we get started, I'm going to go to the last page and point out two more things to you. All right, so the three most common that you'll see are, if we look at Waxahachie here on the far left, is a city tax, an ISD or an independent school district tax, and also a county tax. And that gives us the total. However, we do have some exceptions in addition to the city, county, and the ISD, and that includes sometimes a community college in that area or a hospital. And so what they've done in this particular resource is they've gone ahead and combined those. So for instance, Collin County also includes Collin County Community College. Dallas County includes the community college and the hospital. And so you won't see those as separate line items, but if you were to look at your tax bill, you would see those separated out. Also want to disclose this note that you see down here. This information is culled from a bunch of different resources, and you just want to use caution in using it. In reality, what you really want to do is take a specific property and look at those taxes as you're calculating your expenses, and we'll look at examples of all those. Now that we have a rough idea on what all goes into your property taxes, let's take a look at a real life example and how you might go about calculating that. And so we're starting out, we're looking at the city of Fate. And so within there, we're going to have a city tax, but you can see there's two ISDs, and that's because that town falls within two different independent school districts. And so you won't add up both of those. You'll choose the one that that particular property is in. And in this case, we're going to use Rockwall ISD. And then you add in the county as well. So the way that's going to look is we're going to go 0.29. 869. Then we'll add in, remember we're just going to, this particular property is in Rockwall County, so we'll add 1.0669. And then we'll finally add in the county. And you notice we skipped Royce City ISD because it's not going to be in two different school districts. And that gives us 1.608769, and that will be the rate. And think of that as a percentage. Let's look at one more example. For this next one, we'll look at Garland. And so you can see there's a bunch of ISDs and counties. In our scenario, we're going to say that it's in the city of Garland. It's in Garland ISD. And it's in Dallas County. And so the way that calculation is going to look is we'll take the city 0.689, and then we'll add in 0.993835. And we're not going to be in the other school districts, but we are going to be in a county. And so our last number is going to be the 0.53. $4075, and that's 2.21. And so quite a big difference between Garland and Fate, and something to keep in mind as you're looking. Now let's take a look at some easier ones, maybe where the math is already done for us. So here in the center, you can see Forney, and that total is 2.15 and on. We also have, keep going, we're going to see Levon, 1.81 already totaled up. See some other ones in here. Kaufman, 2.46. Greenville at 1.86. That brings us down to Heath. So let's take a look at that and do some calculation on Heath. So in the example of Heath, you can see we've got 2 school districts that falls within Kaufman and Rockwall, and we've got 2 counties, Kaufman and Rockwall County. And so we're going to use the Rockwall ISD. So we've already got the city in, so plus 1.0669. And also add in county, 0.251, giving us really under 1.6, the lowest we've seen so far. And your property might be a little more expensive in Heath, and so that becomes more of a tax bill based on the value of your property. So let us know in the comments what city you're thinking about buying in Texas, and we'll also take a look at a few other things here. If you want a copy of this resource, you can contact us on our page, and we'll put that in the description. If you want a copy, we're happy to send it to you. Here's another easy one. Nevada is 1.62 and change there. Let's look at Royce City. So in Royce City, you see that it's got it totaled. Be careful. Actually, Royce City falls within 3 different counties and multiple school districts. And so this is remember we looked at the disclosure at the beginning that, hey, you got to double check this information. This is a case where someone who knows the area or checking a specific property is going to be powerful for you. If it's in one of those other ISDs or counties, it could end up costing you more. Another thing I want to show you, we'll use Terrell as an example. Just sold a property recently, and there was no city tax because the property fell outside the city limits. And so it was actually in Hunt County, which was a little less. So it's kind of a rare spot. It was in Terrell ISD, but the taxes ended up being, I think, 1.6 or below once those factors were taken in. So it could be better than even what you see on here if you're looking at specific properties. All right, I can't leave out Rockwall. So Rockwall, City of Rockwall, we're showing that ISD. They make it nice and easy, 1.575. So I threw this document into AI and asked it, hey, tell me who the highest and lowest in all these different categories are. And so I've got those results, and I'll give them to you real quick. So on the high end, Alvarado was the highest city. Forney, Alvarado, and Royce City came in on the high end for independent school districts. And Dallas County was high in the county. Remember, it does include taxes for hospital and community college, but still, they were the highest. And for total was the city of Blue Mound. And on the low end, we had McLennan Chisholm, which is in Rockwall County. We have for the city, and for the ISD was Bridgeport, and Denton County was on the low end, and the city of Garner. We also asked AI, hey, give us the average and the median, and they came up with 2.01% as the average rate, and it was a little bit lower at 1.88% for the median. And remember, median just means half are above and half are below. What I like about this is this gives us something that we can use as very practical. So when you're thinking about property taxes and you don't have a specific property yet, but you're trying to figure out your expenses, you can use 2%. Might be a little higher, might be a little lower, but it at least gets you in the ballpark and has you thinking about those costs. Let's take that rule of thumb and get real practical with it in an example. And so let's say your budget is $300,000 and you're looking in that $300,000 price range. Well, how much can you expect to pay in property taxes? And before we calculate this, I will tell you that there's a lot of different exemptions available. And so you may actually end up being less than this if you qualify for a veteran discount, a homestead, or over 65, for example. That's really something better covered in a different video. But let's go with our example. We got a $300,000 house. We're going to do times, and then we're going to do the 2.0. And when you get your actual number and your actual rate for your property, you can do the actual calculation. But the 300,000 times 2, and then remember, we're going to say percent. And that percent's going to convert it to a decimal. And what does that equal? It's $6,000. Now that's $6,000 a year. And so if you want to see, well, what's that going to do to my monthly payment? You can divide it by 12. So it could be as much as $500 extra a month, and that typically is going to be a part of your loan, and it'll be factored into what your lender is already telling you. If you're not sure, you can always clarify with your lender. Remember, 2% is just an average, and it could be a lot lower if you're in a lower tax district. If you're considering costs, you'll probably get some value out of this video here on what is a high mortgage rate.